Greetings from Citizen Health under Team Academy IAPSME Connect. And today we have Dr. Nilanjana Ghosh for a session that we are talking on mental health issues. And Nilanjana Ghosh is an assistant professor in Department of Community and Family Medicine in AIMS Guwahati. Welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Being in community and family medicine, this is a huge opportunity from me. IAPSM, I am a lifelong member, and IAPSM eConnect is to be a part of IAPSM eConnect is a huge honor for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. And let's start the session with the first question, that is mental health a stigma still now among healthcare workers?
Yes, to start with, we have talked of health, and we all know that WHO, it has defined health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely a absence of disease or infirmity. That is a copybook definition we have. But we know it is an utopia to have complete physical, mental, and social well-being all the time. But what happens is we focus more on physical health. We have hospitals, we have doctors, we have the entire infrastructure, and we keep panicking. We talk to each other when it speaks only of physical health. But when the issue of mental health comes, we are somehow, the patient is reluctant in admitting it. Even family members are reluctant in identifying it because they don't know also. The ignorance goes a big way in identifying the disease. Patient also doesn't identify, and what happens, it keeps on aggravating. So, and by the time we recognize this mental health issue, it has aggravated to a great extent. You have a stomach pain, you go to a doctor. You don't have an appendicitis every time you have a stomach pain. But if you don't neglect it, you may have an appendicitis every time you have a stomach pain. So something like that. But again, the stigma is huge. It is a neglected topic. It is an undercover topic. Families having mental health issues, they don't report it, especially during any marriage negotiations. You will see people will not try to, to get married to into if it's an arranged marriage, then into a family where there are some cases of mental health are there, or I mean, for no reason. This is a very neglected topic. And then again, if you go to a psychiatrist, it is undercover. If you go to a psychologist, who generally help the population, they help us in being, they help us to live, but we do it very secretly, very privately. We share it with very few people. Obviously the stigma is there, and it goes a long way.
So, what are the challenges faced among various genders and strata?
Well, see, mental health again is a neglected topic entirely. Again, mental health, again, women health is another issue which I feel is very neglected in India. So, in India, we say 50%, more than 50% women in all the socioeconomic strata, they will be suffering from anemia. Okay. So, and because it is, we have this gendered behavior in India, like right from starting from education to everything. I mean, the terms like what do you say, like you when the like Ghar Ki Lakshmi and all that, but again Paradhan and all these things. We have these terms in India, right? So when this comes to gendered behavior will have an impact on mental health. What I feel, when we have this, we say girls mature more than boys. Just
Right.
last time, just few days back, I had this huge issue with one of my family members. We just having a casual conversation. Then I said, yes, maybe biologically, yes, some hormones are yes, but it is more of a social upbringing. We make girls more mature than boys, and so they grow up independent because we feel that when they go to the other house, they will have to do the household chores, so they should not face any problem. But we don't do the same with the boys. So that is the reason, why a girl grows up more mature than boys. Maybe one of the reason. So this, then again, menstruation, another big topic. We don't breach it. It is a regular monthly phenomena. A 11, 12-year-old girl bears it every month. But then a boy, leave of that age, a boy of 40, a man of 40 also doesn't know how to approach the topic. So again, these issues, they remain. So when you grow up with this such kind of secrecy on your daily life, on your daily being, when you get out of your house, a woman is like, the safety, security is an issue, but it is not for the boy. These things are strange, but these things are acceptable in India. So these affect your mental health. Mental health is not just one component that you grow sick, you have depression, you have dementia. It's not that. everything you do, everything affects you. And slowly, this keeps at the back of your mind. The girl grows up subdued. The girl grows up oppressed, or the girl grows up thinking that there is a good girl image which you have to bear. So with that kind of thing, then when you get into a professional life, maybe you are working round the corner. So the girl has to maintain both a balance, both her family and her work life, as if her work life is a addition to her family life. So, and then the mental health problems start. So yes, gender wise mental health is a neglected topic, and more among women it is. Women will not report mental health because they feel depression, dementia, etc., 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 need not be reported. Again, a woman passes through a lot of phases. Perimenopausal stage is one big stage which women pass through, but rarely you have seen any woman report about the mood swings, the night sweats, the other usual features she has to in a common public forum. She will relate to it with some other woman in a one-to-one conversation, but we don't talk about it when we are talking about with men in our normal workplaces. So these are issues which which affect your mental health in one way. And then again, obviously, so in women this is neglected. Again, strata wise, I feel that socioeconomic strata again has a role to play in mental health, because mental health, because but certainly I feel that women or healthcare workers who are women especially, and who belong to this elite middle class group, the higher middle class group, they have all the morality pangs, they have all the structured norms, they have a social structure to to belong, they have a social structure to be placed into. So you cannot come and open out in open, like whatever is happening with you. You just cannot come and say, okay, look, I'm very depressed because I had a huge fight with my husband yesterday and I don't like the way he's behaving. You cannot say this, right? But again, in socioeconomic status, which are in one to the like in celebrities, like we have seen people being talking openly about it. Then we have seen people of the lower socioeconomic status; they are also very open about it. But I feel this middle class people, especially the elite middle class people, educated girl and women like us, they are they get caged in this moral structure more, and they seek help. They go to counselors, they go to psychiatrists, they seek medicines, they talk to friends, but then they will not open up, and then they will then they will pretend everything is normal, because that has what has been taught, that it has to be normal at the end of the day. So this pressure of being normal creates a mental health problem, I think, and that can get aggravated at times, which leads to destructions beyond measure. But these needs to be arrested also. So mental health obviously is neglected among women, more neglected in a middle class strata, higher middle class strata to be very specific, all the more neglected. Even working women who are working, they have this idea of this feeling of guilt is there. Working women who don't work, their feeling of sacrifice is there. So these heavyweight feelings, they again create that mental health thing. I mean, once a celebrity famously quoted, sacrifice is a very heavy word to use. So you do whatever you feel like doing. That we are born free. No, freedom is not something. And sometimes we feel that my husband is very supportive or my family members are very supportive because they allow me to work. I mean, freedom is a birthright. So there's nothing to allow. But again, these kind of mindsets we grew up with. So we are very happy with the fact that we are being allowed to have our freedom, which is a basic right. So these things, we grew up with that kind of a mental health strata, we mental health challenges, and this is a huge mindset challenge we need to fight.
Very true. And especially one line I would like to add on that, especially in this case where we talk about equality, where
Yes.
we face this type of challenges between genders, as you have said that they allow me, my family support me because they allow me to do the work. That's very true. So, what are the barriers in accessing it?
See, barriers, there are a lot of barriers. Again, when we talk of barriers, we have physical barriers, we have again mental barriers, social barriers, vocational barriers, so many. Barriers can be at various levels. The first and foremost, I feel, the barrier which needs to be broken is the mindset. Initially, there used to be schools. There are still schools, boys' schools, girls' schools. In 2021, I personally don't find any logic for this. But then, because see, everybody is a human being. It's just that you're anatomically different. So that doesn't mean you need to be segregated. Even the animal kingdom doesn't segregate. So who are we to be moral guardians? So, and this is one. Again, so this barrier needs again, but this boys' school, girls' school, boys, girls, this thing, I know these things, and like so you can teach them. So whatever your fears are, you can teach them to be prevent steps so that a disaster doesn't happen. But you cannot you cannot bind them to somewhere, like you cannot tie them up somewhere separately. Okay, so that is one thing I think a mindset needs to be changed. And again, a barrier in accessing the mental health, I think again, it starts with the family. It's the first charity begins at home. So the family, the mother is the first teacher. The mother herself has this upbringing that girls and boys have should be brought up differently. So that is the first place the mother needs to learn that there is no discrimination. Then only the mother-in-law will learn, because the mother is the first teacher. If she is practicing discrimination unconsciously, subconsciously, that will again get like into the daughter's mind. It will stick there, right? So that is first, the family needs to change. Second, I think, and in this area, you have the schools are the second teachers. The teachers in the schools, the counselors who are working in the schools. Now we have health counselors. There are a lot of people, ASHA, ANM, they visit primary health schools. So these people, they also need to, there's some awareness sessions need to be there. But regarding barriers, are first barrier I feel is the school curriculum. To be very frank, the school curriculum needs to have chapters on discrimination. What is discrimination? Then only you will realize you are being discriminated against. First is this. Second, I think the second barrier in accessing the thing is the social norms and the strictures, which are so tightly built around us that we cannot break them. Especially when you are in a joint family, people do fear about a woman's security, and unfortunately, in India, it is rightly so. But so this barrier, so if you keep on shouting, I'll go at 12 at night in a big metropolitan, and something happens, untoward happens, you cannot then you blame your family. So your family is not allowing you, not because they are backward, because they are fearing for your life, for your safety. So it has to be some legal measures which has to be there. And the barriers in accessing, again, this we don't know, our lack of knowledge. This is the first barrier. We don't know where to go, what to do, how to access the cares which are there for us, and whom to complain, who will come. So this lack of a peer group, lack of a clear understanding on the topic are the main barriers we need to fight, I think, regarding mental health.
Ma'am, do you think that these social media and smart gadgets also have a role on mental health, on men, women,
absolutely.
anyone?
Yeah, absolutely. I was coming to that. This was specifically, I was talking about mental health in women. But again, mental health is only not limited to women. It is limited to the entire community, men and women equally. So again, the big barrier is the mental stigma which we need to fight. The stigma, the awareness generation sessions need to be more intensive, and they need to start from school, so that when you realize that a person is not behaving, or a person is reacting something differently, it is okay to see a doctor. If you have a pain in your stomach, it is okay to see a doctor. So if you don't feel right about something, it is again okay to see a doctor. It may not be nothing. We come out from a doctor's chamber happy. Chalo kuch nahi hua. Appendicitis nahi hai. Similarly, you can come out from a psychologist or a psychiatrist chamber also happy. Kuch nahi hai. But you need to seek care. This health seeking behavior is important. That is the first barrier. And then again, social media, yes, it has a big role to play. I think social media and the entertainment channels, they are flooded with this blue for boys, pink for girls kind of things. Then again, things like what do you say, this damsel in distress, they are highlighting knights in shining armor. All this is good, but again it is in the back of your mind. You feel somebody feels more powerful because of a one particular gender. Somebody feels more oppressive, like when you are going, like when two people are going, say one boy and one girl is going, the boy will feel more protective about the girl. I don't know why, because there's no logic to it. Then again, tying a rakhi, it's such a good thing, it's such a nice thing, but then tying a rakhi is to protect a girl. I don't know, but this is a tradition. But why do you need to be protected at all? I mean, and the need for protection is for both. Even the sister can protect a brother. It's not always one way. So these small things are just changes in mindset. I know. I will like to say. But again, yes, social media, so entertainment channels, they have a big role, and they can, I mean, they can make movies, they can make documentaries which talk on these topics, which broach, which encourage these mental health issues, which encourage the problem of mental health and the solutions, rather than sidelining them or not approaching these issues. They should be talk about it, because when big celebrities do something, we listen to them. That is very normal.
So what is the way forward?
The way forward, well, the first way forward, it's very easy to say, have awareness generation sessions, have sensitization sessions. That is easier said than done. The way forward is each one of us now in our family, we should start this process. Like we should see around, look around. Like if you feel that anybody has a mental health issue, please identify it. Please ask them to go to seek a proper care. Health seeking behavior needs to improve. And again, second thing is at your home also, when you see such issues are happening, address them. Rather than keeping quiet, we should address these issues. There's a very common, very famous film. I will quote a film, Dear Zindagi. It again talked about these issues which we kept under wraps, that you are not allowed to express your emotions. And once you don't express your emotions, by the time you feel something when you grow up, it is wrong to express emotions. Boys don't cry. Again, these are, again, it is not good fair on part of men also. I mean, they can also fail in an exam, and they can also feel bad after a heartbreak, but they don't cry. So they cannot cry even if they feel like. So this again creates a mental health pressure. So first is, the way forward is to create awareness generation sessions regularly at schools, at family level, at community level, and empathize the fact and empower them with the idea that mental health issues are as normal as physical health and can be treated. First. Second way forward is to put them in school curriculum so that children read about them. Third is to train each one family member from each family, that is capacity building regarding these issues. Again, when some people have dementia, depression, they are diagnosed with this, the family members don't know what to do. So that is again at a loss situation. So we should have a capacity building of these issues of the family members, so that they are trained and how to take care. We know how to take care of a physical health issue, but we don't know how to take care of a mental health issue. So that thing needs to be there. The fourth is, when the political backup, the law should be on our side. When that we cannot, you cannot maltreatment of any mental health patient cannot be done. Okay, because they are they cannot even report, and even what they're reporting is may not be so viable. So that needs to be protected by strong law enforcements. That needs to be there. Then again, I think forming a peer group of your own, a circle of trust, is very, very important. So that any woman who feels that she is not mentally well, she can report it to at least her peer group, which will report it to the local health district officials, and the local health will report it to a medical college. I mean, there should be a proper, a referral chain of getting reported. I feel bad, I talk to you, or you have an app where you can, there can be a counselor, there can be many research scholars, there can be academicians, there can be doctors in it, and then that's an app where I feel sad, I don't know, anonymity helps in catharsis. I don't know you, I can talk to you more. I know you, and I know I'll see you tomorrow at my workplace. I will not be able to talk to you, right? So you have an app that you give a call, and there's somebody on that end, a trained person who will listen to you, and then there'll be proper referral that you will have the help. Something of a kind of a thing in America. They have 911, something of that kind. So these are the way forwards. We need to think on it. Otherwise, we'll keep on losing many precious lives. That is the.
And in the end of the session, I would like to ask you, ma'am, that when a person should seek help, what are the signs and symptoms that shows that now he or she is having mental issues or mental problems?
See,
Although every person knows inside of him or her that he is fighting with something, but as a doctor, what are the signs and symptoms when a person needs to seek an medical advice?
This is a very pertinent question, and this is I think the most important question: how to identify. Well, yes, there are a few warning signals, which again I said awareness generation sessions should be there. for warning signals of dementia, depression. Everybody should know. There should be a proper booklet, and we should know कि चलो ये है, तो इसमें we can say कि there's a mental health issue has started or going on. But usually a change in behavior, a change in appetite, a change in your sleeping pattern, a change in your the way you communicate. Some people get they communicate more. Sometimes they communicate less. They get restricted to themselves. Any change in behavior or communication pattern, sleeping pattern, and feeding pattern is one big warning signal. Secondly, sometimes you will see people. There is a word called insight. Okay, so initially it doesn't happen overnight that you lose your insight. So people will communicate, and that we have seen time and again, that we don't communicate to the people we know more, but we communicate maybe to our a second tier of people. Suppose I know a friend of mine who is in another city, I'll call her and I'll give her a call on this, but I won't talk to my friend whom I am seeing regularly. So but somebody will dissipate. So this forming of, so you have to be very careful, like if you are getting a call of something of this kind, so immediately make sure you revert back. क्या होता है कि when we call we say चलो ठीक है, we'll call back later, but then maybe the time is gone. So these things needs to be there. So there are proper warning signals which I think counselors and psychiatrists will be able to share better than me.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. It was a very interesting session. I really enjoyed a lot, and I wish that this video reaches more and more people for the awareness. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much.